welcome to Shirley Says. I'm Shirley, I'm your host, and today we are going to be talking about all the things that you absorb in life and how that has like a massive impact on like your emotional health, your mental health, and let's get positive. So I am joined by the absolutely delightful Jen Lalali. I'm like her number one fan. And she is my psychotherapist. God love her. She will be rewarded one day for this. And Jen deals with solution-focused work. Well, I don't know why I'm telling you. Jen, welcome. Tell us what you do.
Hi, Shirley. Thank you. What a lovely introduction. So, yes, I'm a psychotherapist. It's a word not to be scared of. I work using solution-focused therapy. What that means is I focus on where you are now and where you want to go to in the future. So I help people with anxiety, stress, depression, and sleep. So I help them eliminate all those things and sleep better. And what that does is it has a knock-on effect on life, in that you are more motivated, you've got rid of any phobias, you're feeling a lot better. So I get people also to understand how mental health works, how your brain works in mental health. So the science behind how the brain works. I'm known to be not very fluffy around the edges. I'm quite direct. So I want to know the science. You know I'm not very fluffy.
Yeah.
So there is a place to talk about things like energies and crystals and angels. I don't do that. So I'm very clear from the beginning. I used to be an optician. So I've got a medical background, and everything there is based in science, isn't it? So I like the scientific backing to everything. So once I started examining a little bit about mental health, I wanted to know what's going on in the brain, because we've all got the same brain, but why do they function slightly differently? Why do some people cope with life's challenges and other people find it more difficult? So the work I do is based largely in science. And that's how I help people to understand how their brain works.
I just absolutely freaking love it. You have been seeing me now for, I don't know, probably like a year, maybe not even a year. And I just couldn't get my head around what you did before I met you. And then once I met you, I was just like, this is incredible, because I always thought like I slept loads, but I didn't realize like I slept loads, but woke up exhausted. And was just never ever feeling like I wanted to jump out of bed and like air punch. I just like, oh, I could have slept like another 3 hours. And you know what? See, just you even fixing and dealing with that one thing, that has had such a massive ripple effect onto everything else that I do. It's just, oh, it just makes me so happy. I love
it. Brilliant. That's it, isn't it? That's the first thing I try and help people deal with their sleep, because sleep is your free form of therapy. So sleep has got so much science. There's so much science behind sleep. We still don't even understand it.
Yeah.
And I say to people, if you imagine when you were born, if you were handed over to your mum and the doctor said, here is a lovely, healthy baby. However, every 24 hours, this child is going to go into a comatose-like state for about 7 or 8 hours. At that point, there's going to be so much electrical brain activity you're not going to believe. And the child will look like, you know, they're comatose, but don't worry, it's perfectly healthy, absolutely normal. There you go. Congratulations on your new baby. Good luck. Now, you'd be worried if the doctor said that, right?
To be honest, I've never even heard it being described as that.
That's what it is. That's what sleep is. That's what sleep is.
I love that.
There's so much going on during sleep, and it's such a powerful process that if you can get that right, I believe our current mental health epidemic, poor mental health epidemic, I should say, is down to our lack of sleep, because we are now living in a society where we're designed to stay awake all the time, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Social media, Netflix, 24-hour news. I mean, you can order food in the middle of the night if you want.
Yeah.
So we've got this lack of sleep. Sorry. And then we're going to the doctor for sleeping tablets.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
it doesn't. And you know, it's so interesting because I had read an article recently that said what was the average sleep in the 80s, or it was the 70s or the 80s, and then what was the average sleep that people had now. And I was trying to think, at that moment in time, I probably only slept 6 hours a night. And they said that in this moment in time, that is probably the average amount of like good quality sleep. And back in the 70s or the 80s, they were saying it was like 8 to 9 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, that can't be right. And I was thinking, well, actually, I probably only sleep 6 hours.
Yeah.
So it must be right. I sleep a lot better now. I sleep a good 8 hours. Thank you, Jen. That was all down to you.
You're welcome.
But this obsession that I have with like, you are what you absorb, kind of started with this like Dr. Gillian McKeith chat where she always said like, you are what you eat. And I loved that because I thought that's so true, isn't it? But then I was like, let's take it a step further and let's think about like, what are we listening to? Like, what are we reading? And I suppose the main thing that I sort of love are my friends. And then I was thinking, well, actually, that's such a massive part of what you absorb. Is it their energy? You know, what's your take on that? Is it the people that you surround yourself by? How important is this? This is what I'm trying to ask you.
It's so important, really important. I absolutely believe it. There's a quote by a motivational speaker called Jim Rohn that says that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Ah, okay.
So this is your environment, right? Just like, you know, plants grow in the right environment. If you took like a hothouse flower and you put it in the Arctic, it's not going to grow.
Yeah.
But put it in, you know, the botanical gardens, it's going to grow. So it's all dependent on your environment. So it means you need to have a look at, quite rightly, you are what you eat. So that's what you're the fuel you're taking in, but what is surrounding you as well. So that goes from your environment, as in the place you live, as in, is it clean and tidy? Is your desk organized? You know, that tells you a lot about someone. Is your desk organized? And then going on from that, your interactions with people. And what are you watching on TV? And what are you listening to on the radio? So I'm an absolute believer of you are what you absorb. So
me too.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you. So what would you say if people are maybe sort of going, oh, I don't maybe have my tribe? I know a lot of people talk about this tribe. I talk about this a lot because I have some different thoughts. And I sometimes think, oh, sometimes my pals don't always get it. So I kind of tend to follow people on podcasts so that I can listen to their chats. Is that the equivalent of surrounding yourself with these 5 friends? Or is this something that's an added extra? Or can we do a bit of both?
Oh, definitely you can do a bit of both.
Okay.
Now, when I talk to my clients about how to feel better, it's about trying to get the chemical response in you. And what you're talking about tribes is so significant. So if we go back to caveman days, if you think what the caveman did, what prehistoric man did to feel good was, you know, caveman knew that when I do all these good things, I get a biological response that makes me feel good. So when I live in my tribe properly, when I hunt and gather properly, when I socialize and sleep properly, we know from science that caveman got a biological reward. And the biological reward was this flow of neurotransmitters and hormones that really flooded the body and the brain to feel good. And the main one I talk about is serotonin. And people have probably heard about that. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that not only makes you feel happy, but it makes you feel brave and managing and coping. And the caveman knew this. So the caveman even knew that, okay, even it makes me feel brave, it makes me feel managing, it can help me cope. What the caveman realized was it also helps me deal with pain, and it also boosts my immune system. So when you're doing all of this, all the hormones are flowing really, really well. Now, luckily, we don't have to go out and club a woolly mammoth over the head now.
Phew.
But what we do have to do is what I call the 3 Ps, the letter P. Yeah. So first one, positive activity. Activities that you find are positive. So exercise, or I don't know, knitting or sewing, or
So
something that
something
you
you
find good.
enjoy, just
Yeah,
something, it doesn't
absolutely.
need to be, okay, it doesn't need to be what
No.
you think is positive. It's just something
Yeah.
that you actually just
Yeah.
love. Okay.
Yeah. Something that you love, and you've got to get in tune with that. Now, if your best friend loves running
Uh-huh.
and is advocating to you to run because they feel so good, but you're not feeling it, it's not your positive activity.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is called, people think, well, I must do running because everybody's raving about running right now and jogging and I hate it. Well, it's not your positive activity.
Yeah.
Your positive activity might be yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
finding
find,
your thing, isn't it? Yeah.
exactly, find your thing.
Okay.
The second P is positive interactions, which
Okay.
I'm sure we're going to delve into a little bit more. This is
Oh yeah.
exactly, you are what you absorb around you.
I love that.
Interactions, being around positive people. We all know those people who we love spending time with, or we get off from the phone from, and we feel great. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we've had a lovely chat. And that's having a lovely interaction with someone.
Yeah.
So good friends, good family, lots of pets,
Yeah.
animals.
Oh
They're all
yeah.
positive
Yeah.
interactions, right?
That's me.
And thirdly, positive thinking. Now that's the hardest.
Okay.
I'm not flippant enough to say, oh, just do positive thinking. And I actually hate all those memes and things you see all over social media. Oh, just think positive. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? If it was easy as that, we'd all be doing it.
I know. That would be great if it
Yeah.
felt positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we, okay, sorry, continue. I don't want to interrupt.
So I always say you haven't got a flick at the back of a switch you can flick at the back of your head to say, oh, I'll think positive today.
Yeah.
So that takes a bit of hard work. So out of the three P's, I will say do the first two: positive activity and positive interactions.
Okay.
And positive thinking will come later on. There is
Yeah.
a way to positively think. And that's what I help my clients with. But that takes a little bit of time. If you are a highly anxious or depressed person, you're going to find that difficult.
Yeah.
So start with some small positive activities and some small positive interactions. Yep.
So what if you don't have loads of positive friends around you? Like you just feel they're not really, they're drainers rather than radiators.
Yeah.
I think we
Yes.
all have a friend like that
We've
where you
all
go,
got them.
where we chat to them and we're like, oh, we love them dearly, but we come off the phone and we're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
knackered, I need to go and have a lie down.
Yeah.
So how do we, is there a way of getting around that, or do we ditch friends? I don't want to say that out loud, but is that an option, or do we just...
Well, it's controversial, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
that you have to guard yourself from negative interactions, is what I say.
Okay.
I have had clients that have said that they've had to ditch people,
Yeah.
but that has been their decision.
Yeah.
So totally up to you if you feel that you want to do that, but you don't have to. But it's
Yeah.
about guarding yourself, knowing that, look, this is a negative interaction. So limit those interactions and make sure you increase your positive interactions.
Yeah.
And especially if we've got negative interactions in our family. Now, we can't ditch family
Yeah,
necessarily.
that's true. Yes.
We try. But
It's not socially acceptable, I hear, these
yeah,
days.
yeah.
You've got to hang on to these guys. Yeah.
But again, I know people who have, because they've had to. Toxic relationships.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
so
what
true,
toxic.
actually.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
suppose even if you could minimize that one friend who you know's on the phone, instead of chatting to them for an hour, you maybe
yeah,
have a reason that you need to get off the phone in 20 minutes and
yeah,
just have to be off. And then you maybe just don't speak to them every week. You speak to them every couple of weeks. So
yeah.
yeah, I quite like that
Perfect.
idea. Right.
Yeah,
So if we do those two things and then we try the positive thinking, well, the positive thinking maybe kind of happen more if we're doing the positive activities and the positive interactions. Do you think that
definitely.
will kind of come?
Definitely. Because remember, the three P's was about getting your serotonin flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the happy chemical in you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a little bit flowing with some positive activity and positive interactions, guess what? You're going to find it easier to think more positively.
Yeah, I can
It's
imagine
not going to
that.
become such a barrier. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to feel good, right? If you've done a lovely bike ride out in the sunshine, that's your positive activity. You come back, you're going to feel good.
Yeah,
And you're going
that's
to
true.
start feeling more motivated that, well, you know what? Now I'm going to start cleaning up my kitchen and I'm going to cook a nice meal tonight.
Yeah,
And
I
it
love
just
that.
it just escalates from there.
Yeah,
There's this snowball effect.
love that. So what would you say, is there other things that people can do or should be aware of to try and get more sort of positive interactions? Like, say they don't have them under pals, like, I listen to podcasts. Is this something that people could do? I mean, I know they could do it. Is that as impactful? Is it as good?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at people that you admire, people you would love to be your friend. Everyone knows, you know, you've got a hero, and this might not be someone that you can be friends with, but it's someone whose films you watch, or someone's documentaries you watch, or everyone's doing a podcast now so that you can listen to their podcasts. So it's someone who's, and especially with social media, you can consume their content. You can absolutely consume. I mean, celebrities and people in high up in media, they're so accessible now.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you can
know,
almost dip into their would you say culture, or sort of like,
almost,
their ethos?
Yeah. And they're almost becoming like friends now. We're getting to know them. They're not these unattainable people, and actually they're trying even more to be that. So, you know, I know people that will say, well, look, Oprah Winfrey is my mentor.
Brilliant.
You know, they don't know Oprah Winfrey personally, but they've watched every single video, every single podcast of hers.
That.
Yeah. And then I really like Joe Wicks. So I love Joe Wicks's story and what he's done. So I'm always reading up on him. How did he get there? What's his backstory? So not just, you know, although it's lovely to watch his videos. Yeah, or just watching him and wonder how his hair is so glossy.
So pretty. I know, he's so pretty. I have to say, I don't follow him. I follow him, but I don't do the exercises. I just follow him.
Are you watching it for other reasons?
I hear that's a positive interaction.
It's your positive interaction. It's your positive interaction, and I will leave you with that, Shirley. But yeah, like, I love his story. Isn't it?
I don't even know his story. I'm going to go away and Google him now.
Oh,
and see his backstory.
So he is, you know, he's someone I would love to emulate, in that, you know, he's a personal trainer. He's doing a lot of what other personal trainers have done, but the way he's taken it, you know, so globally, to say, look, this is what I do. And actually, so one story I'll tell you about him, and he's spoken about himself. So he started off by doing boot camps in Richmond Park.
Right.
And he used to stand outside the tube station, or the train station, and hand out leaflets.
Okay.
And say he was going to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning if you wanted to come along to this boot camp.
Okay.
And he didn't have much money then, so he used to take his kit in a little trailer on his bike, like a push bike, and go to Richmond Park. And you know what? For weeks, no one turned up.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Not one person.
It's heartbreaking.
And now look at him.
Do you know what? You've inspired me to go and find Joe Wicks as my new mentor.
It's
just, you know what? I love that.
Such a good story.
Isn't it?
For me, that's someone I admire, how hard he's worked to get to where he wants to go to.
Absolutely.
And so I just read up on him, and, you know, if he ever writes a full autobiography at some point, I'm going to be consuming that. I watch all his interviews over and over again sometimes.
And he is so... He's got great energy about him, doesn't he?
Yeah. So you feel that positive interaction.
Yeah.
You know, you can watch videos, you can, you know, and visuals are really good for the brain. The brain sees things visually more.
Yeah.
So, you know, even, you know, just seeing his interview and watching him and his mannerisms, that will help. Watching Oprah Winfrey, or, you know, think of someone you admire, the way they've done something. And that is still a positive interaction, really.
That's incredible. It's amazing that you don't actually... I suppose I always thought about positive interactions being with people that were my friends and I was having chats with. But if people out there don't have a lot of positive friends, because they might not, or people who are going to lift them up, if they can still speak to those people and still have their friends, but boost their sort of emotional mental health by having going onto YouTube and watching people's interviews or listening to a podcast, then I wouldn't.
Especially right now in lockdown, we have to get creative of how we're going to have some interactions.
Yeah, I love that.
But just because you've got old friends doesn't mean, you know, you can't make new friends. And so you need to go to the places where your new friends and what you want to be like are.
Yeah,
So
where
whether,
they're hanging out.
yeah, where are they
Yeah.
hanging out? Is that a new dance class, or is that a new gym, or is it at the park, or other mums?
Yeah.
You know, find places where they'll be. It doesn't mean you can't make new friends, because remember, we all change. Now, a lot of the time people will hold on to friends because you were friends with them at school
Yeah,
or at
that's true.
college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in that time, you've definitely changed,
Yeah.
and naturally they will change.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll look at people and say, if we met now, would we be friends? Sometimes you're holding on to something because there's a history.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's lovely. What I think is, appreciate that history at that time. That was a really good friend. And
Mm-hmm.
if you've still got things in common and it's still a positive interaction, brilliant. But you know what? We all go off on different paths, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're not aligned. That doesn't mean you've fallen out.
Yeah.
It just means now you're meeting people who are more aligned with you, with where you are now.
Yeah.
And this is why I love solution focused work. Where are you now? And
Yeah.
where do you want to go? You don't have to drop that old friend, but that friend just has kind of a different place, right?
Yeah, they sort of adjust through life, don't they? And I've got lots of lovely friends that I still absolutely love, but we are in completely different places just because maybe I've got the business and they don't, and that takes you off at completely different routes.
Yeah.
And it's not that, as you say, no one's fallen out. The priorities and the focus in your life is just so different from when you were at school,
Yeah,
or it would be almost kind of sad, I think, if you didn't evolve.
exactly.
Like, I kind of think that, like, people say, oh, you've changed. And you think, well, if I hadn't changed,
Yeah,
would I be a bit more annoyed at myself that I was, and would somebody want to speak to me if I was the same as what I was like when I was like 16 or 17? Would
exactly.
they
You
still
can't
be
be a
going,
yeah,
16-year-old
60
girl in a
stroppy
38-year-old?
teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not
Just
going to
hanging
happen.
out. No. And
Yeah,
I think, I'm hoping they would be worried for me.
yeah,
This is, something's gone horribly wrong.
yeah. That's personal development, right?
Yeah,
You know, you've got
totally.
to develop yourself,
Yeah.
and develop yourself. And that's the thing. It's your choice how you want to develop.
Yeah.
But you know, you're going to have different things in common with different people, and I have different friends for different things in my life.
Yeah,
So
that's
if I
true.
want to talk more about family stuff, I'll have a certain group of friends. If I want to talk about business stuff, I've got another group of friends.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. What it means is that I know I will get more value from this, with this subject, from this group of friends, because they will be able to understand more.
Yeah. And you can associate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes total sense. I have different friends from different things, and we have chats about um work things like you're saying, or yeah, just personal stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, I always think it's really interesting. Like, I obviously have a salon and I have a lovely team of girls, but the relationship, even though they are completely different dynamic, is so lovely, and it's very personal. Do you find that, like, within work colleagues, we start sharing like personal stories that you would never
Yeah.
be saying
Yeah.
to anybody else that you
Yeah.
just sort of spoke to maybe once every couple of weeks? It's just
That's right.
bizarre. You
It's
have very different dynamic.
these are the people you see regularly, isn't it? The
Yeah.
people you work with, you see them really regularly, so they can
Mm.
keep more up to date. Whereas if you spoke to a really good friend once a month, you couldn't go through that much detail. So you just
Yes.
give them a summary, and by that time you've worked through your feelings as well.
Yeah, you're over it.
Yeah, the people that you're working with will see you every day coming in
Yeah.
struggling with something, and then they will help you get over it.
Yeah.
So and that's the layers of life, right? We have
Uh-huh.
different friends for different things and different parts of our life, work and home and family and pleasure, all these different things.
Love it. Love it. It just makes so much sense. So, Jen, is there any tips and hints that you think would be good for people just to kind of get through lockdown?
The first thing I'm saying to people is get a wee bit of a routine.
Okay. Okay.
I know it's hard right
Yeah.
now because,
Uh-huh.
but don't let yourself sleep until 9-10 o'clock. You know, try and get a routine of something. It's going to be a different routine than when you went to work, but
Yeah.
still some form of a routine. The mind loves routine.
I love a
So
routine. I do well in a routine.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like, that's why I like a dog, because dogs like routine. Like my dog
yes,
knows what time
yeah,
bedtime is, even though she
yeah,
doesn't have a clock.
yeah.
She just
There you go.
walks into her bed. She's like, right, Shirley, come on. And
Yeah,
she stares at me as if, get into bed.
yeah, yeah.
And
Animals
actually,
are
I do
great.
it. I do
Yeah,
it.
watch animals.
Yeah,
They
it's so
don't have a
funny.
clock.
I
We're
know.
worried about all these apps and everything that measure our sleep. Have you ever seen a dog do that? No.
So get a good routine, and it will be completely different, obviously, from your work
Yes.
routine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Remember some positive activities,
mhm,
some positive interactions, a bit of positive thinking.
perfect.
The other thing is, don't worry as well. Where we are right now, if all you want to do for, a few hours is watch some Netflix and eat chocolate, you know what? Do that.
Okay.
You know, this is an unusual time, right? So
Yeah.
I know everyone's out there at the minute, Shirley, aren't they? Well, they're learning Mandarin and they've
I
got
know.
a six pack and they're going to study to be a rocket scientist now, you know.
Did I tell you that earlier? No, I didn't.
Wouldn't surprise me coming from you.
I'm gonna
But
laugh
we
that
see
off.
it, don't we?
It's
We
so
see
true.
all this all over social media, and someone saying, "Well, I'm just sitting here eating chocolate and watching reruns of Friends."
Peaky Blinders. You can't go
Yeah, oh
wrong with
yeah,
a
yeah, that's
Peaky
a good one.
Blinders.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So,
So don't feel
what do you do?
guilty.
So don't feel
Yeah.
guilty. Come on, this is an unusual time.
Hmm.
So, don't do it all the time. You're going to
Yeah.
get sick of that as well. Don't let that be your routine.
Yeah. Jen said, I can
Yeah,
sit
I
here
could say,
and
yeah,
eat chocolate and watch Peaky Blinders till the cows
yeah,
come home.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not psychotherapist recommended.
No.
Okay. It is for short periods of time though. Like if you want to do that, do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same with the homeschooling thing, right? Everybody, oh God, I'm homeschooling and I'm not keeping up with the timetable. You know what? Your kids are at home and you are trying to work at the same time.
Yeah.
You're not going to be perfect
No.
at it.
No.
Yeah.
I
It's
sort
this
of
pressure everyone puts themselves under.
you're so right, it is the pressure. And I just was talking to a friend the other day, and I was saying to her, do you know what, I don't know how long this is going to last, but nobody does. And I was thinking, if lockdown finished, say Boris came out and said, right, that's it guys, next week everyone back to work, would you be a wee bit gutted that you hadn't
Yeah.
done something? Or
Yeah.
like, oh, I wish I'd cleaned that cupboard out.
Yeah.
Or I wish I had gone for a run. Or
Yeah.
I wish I had sat out in the garden. Even if it's not doing it, I wish I'd enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I was saying that to my friend because she was kind of getting a wee bit flat about it. And I was saying, oh, I'm really enjoying this moment because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are a bit nervous about how long is this going to last. I mean, how long am I going to be here?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because we're
Yep.
all here. And I don't want to wake up one day and Boris says, right, everybody back to work. And I go, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I had just sat in bed and cuddled my
Yeah.
dog just a
Yeah.
bit longer.
Yeah. Well, before all of this, what did everyone want? Time. No
Yeah,
one had any time.
I
Like,
know. I was.
time. I haven't got time. Well, you've got time now. What do you want to do? The other thing that's making me laugh is I am sort of ringing some of my friends up and they're not answering. So I'm leaving a message saying, well, I know you're not busy. So why are you not answering this phone? You haven't gone anywhere. Well, you better not have. So there's no reason for you now to say, oh, I was so busy, I couldn't return your call. I was like, well, get on it, Mrs.
I actually spent yesterday on the phone all day or doing video WhatsApp chats. And
Yep.
my mum said to me, what did you do yesterday? And I said, I just chatted all day. I actually had to drink so much water today because my voice was so dry. And I just loved it. But then I love chats. Like I would chat.
Yeah.
Well, I do. And I sort of was I'll be honest, I was a bit nervous about doing lockdown because I live on my own and I was thinking, I'm usually in the salon and I talk to, honestly, feels like at least 100 people a day. And it's always really nice. But what I've found is I've had less people to speak to, but I've had better chats and I've had maybe more one, because it's mainly on a one-to-one. I've had some really lovely conversations because I'm phoning clients just in case they're missing me, Jen. I mean, I wouldn't
I'm
want them
sure
to,
they are.
I wouldn't want them to miss any Shirley chat. So I've been phoning clients and like maybe 3 or 4 a day. And I was like, I would never have spoken to this person for so
Yeah.
long. And do you know
Yeah.
what? I feel like I know them better.
Yeah. You're
Which
making
sounds crazy.
connections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And,
lovely.
and we're social animals as humans. So all you've done is you've got creative about how you can have that interaction.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's easier because you've got the time you're going from one call to the next. You're cutting out the traveling time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
So you
no
can go
commute.
from one call to the next. When before would you have met 3 or 4 people in one day? You
For
know,
a
like you've done
coffee.
your 3 or 4 calls, yeah, for a coffee and do everything else that you need to do. But you
Yeah,
can do that from home now. So yeah, if you can turn this around to your advantage, brilliant. And you've got to look for it. You've got to look for, the glass is half full here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all had really, really tough situations in life. I know I have, so I can't be the only one.
Everyone has.
Everybody
Everyone
has,
has, right?
exactly. And everything that's been really tough or been a real big situation in life has actually always been so much better when I've come out of it. Like I've always something amazing's happened off the back of something really crap. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Do you think that's right? Do you think that's
Yeah.
a general rule of thumb?
What you've done there is you've created resilience.
Nah,
That's what
have I? Yeah.
resilience is. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go through something. Now, you can never feel warm if you've never felt cold. And you
Oh,
can
I
never
like that.
feel full up if you've never felt hungry. You've got to have a comparison. So
Yeah,
a lot of people approach me and, going through sessions, they'll start saying, well, they kind of just want their life to be perfect all the time. But that's not life. And it doesn't
yeah.
prepare you for anything.
It's not
So
realistic.
I see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of students who after graduating, they think they want to get their dream job and the perfect partner and live happily ever after.
Yeah, they want to
And I'm
fast
just saying,
forward
yeah,
to the
I'm like,
really
that's
good
not going
bit.
to happen.
Yeah.
The really good bit only happens if you've gone through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to get through the rubbish bit to
Yeah.
get to it. But I suppose then, even if they did get it, say they did randomly meet the perfect person, get the perfect job, would they appreciate it?
That's it.
Because
Exactly.
actually, they might take it for granted and then mess it up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason you shouldn't. Absolutely, you could do that. And that's why they say it. So people who have worked really hard to achieve something, to buy, I don't know, their dream car, say,
Yeah.
they really value it. Whereas if you were just given it as a gift as an 18-year-old because you had really rich parents,
Yeah.
you don't understand the value of
Know of
it.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's
So
true.
that going through something hard, at that point you're creating resilience. And that's what fascinated me to begin with when I started studying the brain, that everybody has had a bereavement or a
Yeah.
financial issue or a family issue. Why do some people cope and some people don't? And you
Yeah.
even see people with really extreme, they've been through wars and, really extreme events,
Oprah
and they're doing
Winfrey.
really well. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. There's your example.
Yeah, I didn't realize this, but she'd had serious trauma as a child and had gone through horrific abuse. And you look at her and you think other people could have used that as an excuse not to do well. Well,
That's right.
she actually became, I mean, who doesn't know of Oprah Winfrey?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's global,
So
isn't she?
why is that? And we've all got the same brain structure. So what is going on that some people can cope and some people can't?
Yeah.
And some people don't cope to such a level, their physical health starts to get affected. This
Yeah.
is high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, heart
Yeah.
disease.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. If that isn't making people stop and think now, what will?
Yeah. And I think at this moment in time, and we've always said this, health is wealth. But this is so much more valued now because of COVID and because everybody is, so aware of people when they're not well and when they are well. I think actually mental health and physical health just come hand in hand.
Yeah, there's the mind-body connection.
It
It's
is.
all one thing.
It
And
is.
even if you are a multi-millionaire, if you had heart disease, you've got heart disease.
Yeah.
You can't buy out of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's really important to remember the mind and the body are one.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. So physical health, is important. Mental health is important, but you are a whole person. And I'll say to people often, you are absolutely entitled to be happy, to have good mental health, to feel really motivated, to feel really strong and resilient mentally. You are absolutely entitled to that. It's your choice what part of the brain you want to come from to make that decision. But if you can train your brain to do that, just as you would train your body to do that, to do something that it wants to do, the brain, just consider it another muscle in your body. You've got to train it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do come from it, in the sense of I'll exercise and then I'll come and see you. You are my brain training, essentially, whether you like that or not.
Yeah, no, that's what I say. I'm training brains. Yeah, I train brains.
And I love that, because if you don't spend time on it, then I suppose it would be like having a physical issue or not doing something physical and looking after your body, and then you get a shock when it malfunctions. If you own a body, it's got the potential to malfunction, doesn't it? And we all own brains, so they all have the potential to malfunction, and it just needs consistent training. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love hanging out with you, Jen.
Hanging out with you, Shirley. Mutual Appreciation Society.
We need to start one of those. We definitely with that. I don't know if anybody else would join up, but I would enjoy it.
It'd be you and me.
Right, Jen, I could talk to you all day. Tell me if my lovely listeners would like to hear anything else that you're talking about and they think they want to delve into this. How do they go about it?
So first of all, I would say go to my website, www.ginlally.com, GINLALLI.com.
Perfect.
All my contact details are on there. So if you've got a question, drop me a line. Just send me an email if you've got a question. I'm always recommending a book or a video or a podcast or a TED talk to people, just something to help you along your way. I've got a Facebook page, Gin Lally Solution Focused Therapy. And I'm on Twitter as well, Gin Lally. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I try to put up as much content as I can. A podcast is in the making.
Great.
But I will try my best with that. So no promises just yet. Just another thing on my long list of things to do. But I often do talks for businesses and companies, and I go in and I give them my talk and presentation and answer any questions there as well. So just keep an eye on me. If I'm around, if I do anything more public, feel free to come along and hear that. But I'm always up for talking to people. I love talking. I'm the same as you, Shirley. We're the same, aren't we?
Just love a good chat. We just love it. But look, thank you so much for joining me today. I just feel I learn something every time I speak to you. It just makes me so happy. And thank you to all.
Can I ask you a question, Shirley?
Away.
Yeah. So what's the biggest difference you've noticed after coming to see me?
That's a good question.
Where you were before to where you are now? Because you were doing quite well before.
Thank you. I love a compliment.
You're doing fab.
I was feeling like I was on a bit of a treadmill when I went to see you. I initially came to see you and I was exhausted. And as I said before, I literally would wake up every morning and just be like, I am knackered. And I know I've slept 8 hours. And then when I was going in I do work 7 days a week, or I was working 7 days a week, and I was finding that every single decision was becoming for some reason, it became a massive issue, and everything was taking me, I just couldn't make decisions. I was becoming indecisive, when usually I'm like this, right, next thing. And I was getting stressed out about little tiny things that I felt, really, these shouldn't be stressful because these are blips. And I just wanted to sleep better and make clearer, more decisive thought processes. And ever since I've met you, I have had an absolute change in the way my day works, and I get great sleep. I wake up and I'm like, right, what am I doing today? I've got clarity of thoughts, and I've just kind of got my usual high energy self back. I kind of felt a bit sort of like, oh, I'm getting bogged down. Is that right? Bogged down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I just feel like, bring it on.
Great.
And the other thing that I would say is, and you've been incredible at teaching me this, is making sure that I see good in everything and gratitude. And I always had gratitude for life. But I would say I'm more verbal about it now.
Great.
So, and because of that, I feel that the interactions I have with lots of other businesses and people I need to deal with through work-related sort of scenarios have actually just improved tenfold. I feel like people go, oh, she's a bit excitable. I better keep talking to her. But yes, and actually, I'm just thinking everything. I see everything now in a positive light. Whereas before, I would naturally just go to, oh, is that a problem? I've got another problem. Whereas now I go, is that problem a problem, or actually, is there something that we can make really good out of this? So
Great.
yeah,
Well, that's
I love it.
brilliant.
I love
Brilliant.
it.
Great. Great.
But thank you so much for hanging out
Pleasure.
with me today. It was an absolute pleasure.
I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Oh, I could talk to you all day. Sometimes I do. And thank you to all the lovely listeners for hanging out with me. Please go on to Spotify or iTunes and you can review me, share me with all your lovely friends. Let's share some positivity in the world, and let's go out and enjoy the sunshine. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Right. Take care and speak to you soon. Bye.